Good morning, everybody. We've been curious about our Earth forever. What's it made of? How does weather affect it? That kind of thing. Well, on this date, July 23 in 1972, the Landsat satellite was launched, enabling us to really study our planet. These are the main branches of Earth science: geology, meteorology, oceanography, and astronomy. Landsat is going to help with all of those. So geology, we attribute modern geology to James Hutton, a Scot who lived in the 1700s. Loved to go outside and explore things. And one day when he was out at Sicker Point, which is on the ocean east of Edinburgh, he noticed the layers of rocks at different angles and had the epiphany that these represent different time periods. And that's clearly evident in the Grand Canyon, various layers of rock, different time areas. And then another thing that geologists are fascinated by is Mount Everest, for instance. The rock is what you'd find in the sea. So this was thrust up from the seabed a long time ago. How about meteorology? That's weather. So Aristotle, for instance, thought a lot about the clouds and the winds, and he wrote about that. So the ancient peoples were really fascinated by the weather, and a big step forward came in the 1600s when Mr. Torricelli invented the barometer, a simple way of noticing air pressure go up and down. And the first modern weather report that we know of anyway was the London Times, 1861. You go to the paper to see the weather report. So we've been looking at weather reports for a while. Oceanography studies the oceans. One thing oceanographers are fascinated by is how the Polynesians and other Pacific Islanders navigated over the oceans for so long. Another mystery that fascinated people was the tides. How did they work? What made them rise and fall? Why were they bigger in some places than others? This is a real mystery. And in 1870s, His Majesty's ship, the Challenger, went around the world and did sampling of the ocean floor. So that was one of the first serious scientific approaches of the ocean. Ocean remains very important today. For example, the ocean currents, where they go and do they change, and how they affect our climate and the weather. Astronomy is a study of the heavens, not to be confused with astrology, which is more kind of magic. But here are the Babylonians. For a long time, people thought the Earth was the center of the universe because we couldn't feel any movement, and it looked like the sun went up and down. Everybody knows that story. And then in the 1640s, Copernicus published his book, and this had a big influence on Galileo and others, in which the idea was the sun is the center. And that's what we have today. So here's our event. July 23, 1972, Landsat was launched, technically known as the Earth Resources Technology Satellite, and it was pretty high-tech for the time. Here's a picture of it. You can see the scientists by it. And notice those big solar panels on either side. And it had all kinds of cool instruments, but the big one was the spectrometer, which enabled the satellite to look at different temperatures on the Earth, and from the different temperatures and their colors being able to make certain assumptions about what's going on the planet. For instance, here's pictures of New Delhi. On the left, it's a certain size, but it's grown a lot, and that's clear from the satellite imaging. Another way Landsat's been really helpful is forest management. Forested land gives a much different heat footprint than unforested. And the same with water management, whether you look at rivers and oceans and seas and bays, just how do those all get affected by what humans do? And then recently, forest fires, be able to see fires and where they are and how you can deal with them has been a big thing with Landsat. So there have been lots of Landsats. And there are plans for more each year or each time they get more sophisticated, but very helpful as we study our